You're pretty.
My geniuses, guess what? Today I have with me someone that you're going to be thankful for. I have with me an astute man, a hardworking, dedicated, vibrant, and energetic leader in the field of education in Jamaica. This man is known to millions for being dominant at his craft. He believes in the power of education, so much so that one of his mantra is not to play around with poor people's children. No wonder he's dubbed as one of the best education officers in Jamaica. My geniuses, I present to you a man of class, a man of dignity, a man of character. Please help me to welcome Mr. Christopher Reynolds. Hi, Mr. Reynolds. How are you?
Hi, Katie, and good night. I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you so very much for joining me on my program, Reading Unlimited with Kadian. It is a pleasure having you.
Thank you too for inviting me.
Is it okay for me to go ahead and call you Christopher?
Of course, you may.
All right, Christopher, we're going to jump right into it. All right. What motivates you, Christopher?
Uh, so, Katie, and I am from the country. I am from a little district in Brainerd, St. Mary called Sioux River District. Now, as a country boy growing up, I didn't know that one day to come, I would have become a man and I would have been representing an organization such as the Ministry of Education in Jamaica. And when I look back at my own childhood, growing up into adulthood, I have come to the realization that every little boy and every little girl who sits in a classroom in Jamaica can grow up to become the next education officer, the next chief education officer, the next minister of education, the next prime minister, you name it. And so, in my line of work as an education officer, I take the business of educating people's children very seriously.
I know
And
you
that
do.
motivates me to see every little boy and every little girl develop to their very best, the very best potential that is within them, so that they can be the best of what they can become.
Well, Christopher, that is well said. And it answers my next question because my next question was, why are you so passionate about education? But you answered that. You are dubbed one of the best education officers in Jamaica. Can you tell me why is that so?
The fact of the matter, Cadian, is in our region, Ministry of Education Region 6, we have what is called the Directors Awards, where the regional director hosts an award to reward outstanding performance within the region. It just so happens that I am the current reigning education officer of the year.
Congratulations.
Thank
I
you
am
very much.
honored. My
Thank you very
geniuses,
much.
my
Thank you
geniuses,
very
I
much.
only get the best for you on my program. I
Thank you very much.
thank you. When Mr. Reynolds is done tonight, you will be so inspired. All right, Mr. Reynolds, let us continue. Were your parents disciplinarians? Were they strict?
The fact is, Katie, that as a child, most of my childhood was spent with my mother and my stepfather.
Okay.
So as a child, for the most part, my father was absent. He's now deceased, and may his soul rest in peace. But for most of my childhood, he was absent. And so I was raised for the most part by my mother
Yeah.
and my stepfather. So I have very high respect for my stepfather. Uh, the fact is, though, that when it comes on to the disciplinary aspect of growing the children, that was really left to my mother. Now, my mother was a woman who worked out. So, for the most part, she leaves very early in the morning to work and she comes back late at nights. And that leaves us by ourselves most of the times. But what my mother would do is to set out the tasks for us to do on a daily basis.
I like that.
And the truth is, if she should come back and those tasks were not carried out, you better know that as boys, we would feel it. Now, the fact of the matter is, we were so afraid of the spanking that we just conformed.
Wow.
Yes, we just did
Good.
what we had to do and ensure that we didn't get ourselves in too much trouble with our mother. Yes.
Well, here I was thinking that you were one of those rude children, but apparently not having a strong
Ah,
mother like that.
yeah. I mean, boys will always be boys in a kid. So there were those moments when you would hide away and do something that mommy says you shouldn't do, and then sometimes mommy would find out and you're in trouble.
Yes.
So there were those moments too. But for the most part, you didn't want to get into too many of those situations, so you try to conform as much as possible. Yeah.
Okay, Christopher. Now, do you think teachers presently are more hardworking than teachers in the past?
The truth is that many persons do not truly value the work and worth of our teachers as nation builders.
Yeah.
Um, our teachers carries awesome responsibilities, and for the most part, many of our teachers are not prepared with with all the tools that they need to carry out the job as effectively as they could. Um, but the truth is that for the most part, our teachers are very resilient and resourceful, and our teachers try their very best to ensure that at the end of the day, the students are educated, right? Now, the truth is, I cannot tell you much about how the teachers of the past used to operate. At that
Yeah.
time, I was just a kid. I was so small. I wasn't paying attention to them. I was just trying to learn.
Yes.
But since I've become a teacher, um, right up to my journey to where I'm now as an education officer with the Ministry of Education, I mean, I have seen the struggles, I have seen the triumphs, I have seen and everything in between that teachers have to go through to ensure that their students learn. And I lift my hat to the teachers and I laud every teacher. Mm.
Beautiful. You make me feel as if I want to come back home and have you as my education officer again.
You can. You're welcome, Katie.
Christopher, you're so jovial and you're so hardworking. When you're low in spirit from a long day at work, who do you get your strength from?
So as a man of faith, I believe in God. I believe in the teachings of the Bible.
Yes.
I believe in the promises of God and the sayings of God. And sometimes, even in my capacity as education officer, the work is so very stressful, you become frustrated. But then at the end of a very long and hectic day, sometimes you have to take solace in the word.
Wow.
And so, for the most part, I tend to turn to the Bible for inspiration.
Yeah.
Yes,
Beautiful.
yes.
Uh, I'll call you Mr. Reynolds here. Mr. Reynolds, when I first met you, You were so intimidating, and I was a little bit scared because of the passion that you have towards education. I remember hosting a pageant and wanted that day, and you're like, it's education first. Now, are teachers receptive of your passion towards education, or do they see you as a bully?
The truth is, Katie, those who know me well, they know that I take the business of education very seriously, like you're saying, rightfully. And the truth is that it's my job to do so. And I take my work very seriously. No wonder I am Education Officer of the Year. Uh,
Congratulations. I am so proud of you. Well
is it
deserved.
any wonder? But the truth is, as long as people are doing what they're supposed to do, I don't have a challenge. I don't have a problem. They shouldn't have a problem. We're good because I'm getting the work done. They're
Yeah,
getting the work done.
yeah,
But where I have a challenge now, Katie, is when, the work is not being done or people are doing other things at the expense of getting the work done. Then we will have some challenges, and then we will have to work through those challenges so that the work is done, and then everything else will fall into place. But the truth is, if you remember when you first met me, I would have, you know, taken over a new cluster of schools in which the school that you were working was one of those schools.
yes.
And the fact is that there was a certain perception that people had about that particular school that you
And
were
you know, I
working.
have a question coming up right there, so don't touch on that yet.
All right, Katie, no
Now,
problem.
with all the accolades that you have achieved in Jamaica, you could have been anywhere in the world making way more money than you are making now. Why are you so loyal and patriotic to Jamaica? What keeps you there?
Again, I go back to my roots, my upbringing, how I grew up as a country boy, not knowing that I could have, elevated from that level to another level. And there are so many other youths in Jamaica who they do not know that there are avenues for them to elevate. And I mean, there has to be somebody who they can relate to and who can relate to them to say, I was at that stage, I was at that level, this is what I did, this is where I am, you can do this too. And so I see that I have a role to inspire and to motivate some of these youths to
Yeah,
move from that stage to the next. And I don't want to run away from that, Katie. I have children. I want to motivate them too. I want to inspire them too. And I want to be here with them. I want to see them grow. And, whatever I can do to help my nation,
yes.
yes, as a nation builder, to move to the next level, I will do so in my capacity.
No,
I'm
you're
comfortable.
no, you're making me feel like a Judas for leaving.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. I mean, Katie, we all have different paths
Yes,
to travel, and maybe your path is not the same path for me, and
yes,
maybe the one for me is not the same one for you.
yes.
So no, don't feel that way. Don't
Okay.
feel that way at all.
Thank you. You're so
You're
kind.
welcome. You're
Now, which
welcome.
primary school did you attend? And after that, which high school? So tell me about your school years.
So I attended. So remember, I said that I am from St. Mary,
Yes,
and
Brainerd. And oh, ironic
yeah,
because I am from an adjoining community called
that's
Hayden.
Caneve. Yes. So now, um, at around age 2, um, my mother came to live in Spanish Town, Fraser's Content to be exact. And then, maybe about a year or so after, I came to live with them in Spanish Town, and I finished my basic school education. And then I got enrolled in Friendship Primary School.
Okay.
Right. So at that time, my principal was the late Mrs. Harris. Yes, Mrs. Enid Harris. That's the mother of, you know, television
Somebody to,
personality,
oh,
Delia Harris, and
okay. Oh,
right. So as a youngster at Friendship Primary, Dahlia and her sister Patricia were bigger girls for me. They were attending high school, but all of us were in school together.
yes.
So we grew up together. So there were some teachers at Friendship Primary who would have had a tremendous impact on my upbringing and development. I remember, for example, there was Mrs. Christie, who was my grade 2 teacher.
Wow, you remember your
And
grade 2 teacher?
yes, and
Wow.
she's still alive. Sometimes I see her and we still talk. She remembers me very well. And Mrs. Christie was a very strict lady. So when it comes on to sitting in a seat and doing your work and paying attention, you have to do that. So I learned that from very young in Mrs. Christie's class. Get
Yeah.
some licks from Mrs. Christie too, but those were licks that helped to propel me in the right direction. And
Yes.
when I left from Mrs. Christie and I went to grade 3, there was Mrs. Simpson. And I can't forget Mrs. Simpson was the one who, when my friends were calling me, Christopher, Mrs. Simpson called me one day and she said, do not let anybody call you Christopher.
Yeah.
Your name is not Christopher. Your name is Christopher.
Yes.
I can't forget that. So every time after that I saw Mrs. Simpson, I would remind her and she would said, thank God for me.
Yes.
Thank God for me. Then I went on to grade 4 and Mr. Clementson was my teacher.
Yes.
Very calm gentleman, and he was very patient with us and he taught us many things. I did not go to grade 5, so I skipped from grade 4 to grade 6.
Wow.
And
Yes.
yes. And in grade 6, I met Miss Faulkner and spent a year in Miss Faulkner's class. And then I did my common entrance examination and I moved on to Osamarty Technical High School.
Okay.
Right.
That school, I think it was built by some Spanish
The
Cubans.
Cubans. The
Yes.
Cubans. That's right. Um, so Osamarty was another phase of my life.
Yes.
This was where now I got involved in activities, different activities,
Okay.
sporting activities, social activities, cadet, all of these different things. And, I formed friendships and I shaped a personality. Oh,
Yes.
yes. I
An
did 5 years in high
effervescent
school.
one.
Say that?
An effervescent one.
I am telling you, did 5 wonderful years in high school,
Yes.
and then I graduated and moved on into the world of work. Yes,
Okay. So you worked before going to college? Tell me about that.
yes. So the fact is that when I reached grade 11 in high school, my parents they were so poor
Yeah.
that even though I was recommended to do 8 subjects, my mother could only afford to pay for 4 subjects.
Yes.
So I did those 4 subjects and I passed my subjects.
Yeah.
Um, I did not have enough subjects to matriculate into, college, university. And my parents, they were just poor.
Yeah.
And I had other siblings, younger siblings that were going through school and they needed their time in school. So I got me a job at Burger King. My first
Okay.
job, my
Okay.
first job was at Burger King. And I served,
Nice.
yes, I served the tables and I made burgers and whoppers and such the like. And it was
Yes.
a wonderful experience. And I worked there for a little while, but that was just not the job for me.
Guys, you see what I'm telling you about? It's not where you start, but where you finish. Look at Christopher today. His parents were poor. He worked at Burger King. Many of you would never even dream of doing that. But look at this man today.
Oh
Look at
yes.
the man that he has become.
Oh
I am
yes.
proud of you, Christopher. Like,
Thank you.
so proud of you.
Thank you.
All right. So, after working at Burger King, tell me more.
Uh, it so happened that you know, in my young adult life, I could have been around 17, 18 at the time.
Yes.
17. I could have been around 17 at the time. And I got involved in a youth club.
Yes.
And I was the vice president of the youth club. And this youth club was sponsored by the Social Development Commission.
Okay.
So when we had club meetings, sometimes the SDC officer would come around. And it so happened that one day he said to me, you know, the Social Development Commission has a program. It's called the STEP program.
Yeah.
And STEP is an acronym for Special Training and Empowerment Program.
Okay.
And you know, he told me some more about the program, and he recommended that I enrolled, which I did.
Yes.
And it so happened that, you know, I was taught so many things in that program and I excelled.
Yeah.
And at the end of the program, I was offered a scholarship,
Wow.
1 year scholarship
Impressive.
that would take me to Portmore Community College. And I enrolled in their continuing education program. And I did three more CSEC subjects.
Okay.
So I did those three subjects in 1 year. And
Wow.
at the end of the 1 year when I did them, I got two range one and one range two. So now remember, I had four subjects before
Yes.
and I now have three more.
Yeah.
So in all, I now have seven subjects.
Beautiful.
So after leaving Portmore Community College now, I landed a job at a company in New Kingston called Carimed Limited.
Okay.
Yes. So I started working at Carimed Limited in the pharmaceutical warehouse as a warehouse picker.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I don't like to be bogged down at any one place. So I was all over the place, and I didn't know that the manager was noticing the fact that I was just all over the place and doing everything. So one day she called me and she said to me, you know, I'm going to move you from being a picker, and you have such a nice personality. You could represent us on the road with the customers out there. So I'm going to allow you to travel with the drivers and do some deliveries in the pharmacies for us. And I started doing that. And I remember that one day we were doing a delivery downtown Kingston. So we were traveling from New Kingston. We were going downtown. So we were passing Maresca Road. And I saw this sign, Michael College.
Yes.
And I didn't know what was happening over Michael College. So I said to the driver, you know, Bruce, what's over there? And he said to me, oh, it's Teachers College, man. And I said, really? And we went and we did the delivery. And on our way back, it came back to me when we were passing again. And I said, Bruce, turn over Michael and let us see what is happening over there. And Katie, I tell you, I kid you not, the rest is history. We
Wow.
turned into Michael Teachers College. I
Yes.
went up to the front office to find out what they did. When the young lady told me what was happening, I asked her for one of the application forms. I applied, and things just started falling into place. Next thing I know, they called me to do a test. And
Yeah.
I did the test. They called me to say that I passed the test and I was to come for some interview. And when I did the interview, they said that I was successful and I was to come and I was to start. And I got enrolled at Michael Teachers College, and the rest is history, girl. I'm telling you.
Beautiful. What a powerful story. Guys,
Yes.
it doesn't stop there. I know you want more just like me, so let us continue. Mr. Reynolds, I know that you have daughters. Well, I don't know if you have a son as yet, but I know about the daughters. If I should question them, what would they tell me that you believe in terms of education? Are you this passionate towards their education?
Katie, the truth is, if I am so passionate about the education of people's children that I know
Yes,
nothing about,
yes.
uh, I can well imagine that you would just imagine how passionate I am about my children's education.
Let me interject right here, but please do not lose your train of thought. Now, at my school, I have some teachers there, and because they're so invested in other people's children, their children get left behind. So I am wondering if that is a situation because I know you work so hard. You're always on the job. You're always thinking about the job. So therefore, I'm asking the question, what would they tell me?
Well, they would tell you that our daddy is always calling to check up on us to see
Yes.
if we are in class, to see how we're doing, to see if we're understanding what is being taught in school. Our daddy occasionally drops onto the school compound without our knowing, and sometimes he creeps up at this classroom door just to spy on us to see that we are not giving trouble in class. Stuff like those they will tell you.
Yes.
And then in the evenings when I get home, I try to make some time so that we can look back over the things that were done today, and if there's anything that I need to help them with, then I could help them with that. And we could go through some stuff just to make sure that they are on page.
Yes.
um, I have no son, three daughters, and for each one I have helped them to develop a personal study timetable.
Yes.
And as much as is humanly possible, we try to stick to the personal study timetable
Yeah.
so that we have time for recreation, time for relaxation, time for sleep, time to eat, time to study, time to watch TV, you name it. But, you know, education is what has propelled me forward,
Yes.
and I see it also as a medium for propelling my children forward.
Okay.
And I make no bones about that. They have to take their education very serious.
Okay. I know that you have elevated, and this is a question. I know that you have elevated many low performing school or what is considered to be failing schools. One such of which I am acquainted with. And we know it. I might not call their names now, but they know themselves. And you work so hard that now we are one of the schools of choice in St. Catherine. How do you do it?
So, Katie, the truth is, somebody once said to me that the hallmark of a good leader
Yeah.
is to develop other good leaders. But over time, I have come to the realization that everything hinges on the leader.
Yeah.
So the school rise or falls on the leader.
Yeah.
So if good things are happening at the school, it doesn't mean that it is the leader who caused these good things to happen,
Yeah.
but it's because of the policies and the procedures and those things that the leader ensures that they are in place so that good things can happen in the school.
Yes.
Similarly, bad things are happening in the school. Leadership has to take responsibility for that as well. So, if that is the case, Katie, the single most important ingredient for a school to be successful is good leadership.
Okay.
Once I came to that realization, one of the things I've always tried to do is to ensure that I have a program of continuous professional development and empowerment
Yeah.
for the leadership of the schools that I supervise. And the thing about it is that once I can get the leaders understanding the vision,
Yeah.
and they can then sell that vision to the teachers in their schools who can then buy into that vision, I'm telling you, schools will run like how they're supposed to run. So I have tried my very best to inject life into the leadership of the schools that I supervise. And I realize that it has worked. It has been working. It is working. And I know it will continue to work.
Impressive. Christopher, impressive. I am impressed. But I know because firsthand knowledge, I have experienced your hard work. Now, this leads me to the next question. Who do you think are more influential in a child's life? So, is it the parents or the teachers?
Um, I the truth is, uh, parents are very influential in the lives of their children,
Yes,
and parents they have a role to play. Um, Teachers are very influential in the lives of their students.
yes,
So I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Of one of my daughters, youngest of my daughters. I remember one night she was sitting around the table and she was doing some homework.
yeah,
So I just passed by the table and glanced at what she was doing. I didn't want to disrupt her, but I wanted to look at what she was doing. So I passed by the table and I looked like I was looking for something, but I was really looking at what she was doing. And I saw that she was making a mistake.
yeah.
So I said to her, Ramona, are you sure that is what you're supposed to do? And she said to me, yes, daddy. And I said, why are you so sure that that's what you're supposed to do? And she said, okay, daddy, teacher said.
Like Ramona.
She said, teacher said.
Yes,
But the truth is, she had made a mistake.
yes,
So I said to her, all right, Ramona, no problem. So teacher said that. And teacher is right. However, you're making a mistake. And she
yes,
said, no, daddy. And I said, yes, man, look here. And I pointed out what the mistake was. And she said, no, but daddy, teacher said.
yes.
And I said, but Ramona, remember that daddy is also a teacher. She said, no, you are daddy.
Whoa.
But you are daddy. You're not my
Yes,
teacher.
yes,
So teacher said, so her mother, who is a school principal,
yes,
looked at her and said, oh, Ramona, I think daddy's right. You made a mistake somewhere. And she said, no, mommy, I don't make any mistake. Teacher said,
yeah,
and so at that point, daddy is not a teacher, mommy is not a teacher,
yeah.
but teacher said.
Yeah. So teacher was
So
there.
so you see the important role that
Yeah,
teachers have in the lives of their students. If a teacher can, I'm telling you that a teacher can mar a student for life,
that's true.
and a teacher can make a student for life.
Yes.
I have teachers who made me, teachers in primary school,
Yeah,
teachers in high school, teachers in college. I have some of those, and I have some that I remember from the various levels of the education system who they leave a sour taste in my mouth.
uh-uh.
I can tell you that much. But the truth is, there are some good teachers, and I have to big up all the good teachers out there.
I like that. I am
Yes.
one. No,
Yes.
Christopher, there is a pandemic going on in Jamaica. Do you think it will increase the illiteracy rate as it is because the kids have been out of school for so long? Now they're using technology and some don't even have access. What are your thoughts on that?
The truth is, um, I don't know that the coming of the pandemic will increase the rate of illiteracy.
Yeah,
We realize that we are in a period that is just unprecedented.
yeah,
Um, we have never experienced anything like it before. But the truth is that as a Ministry of Education here in Jamaica, I noticed that the ministry has been doing its best
yeah.
to work through the issues one at a time to ensure that the students in schools are not disenfranchised.
Okay.
So now I see a number of initiatives that the ministry has undertaken in recent times to ensure that even though the students are out of school, that they're engaged.
Okay.
So, the ministry has been providing tablets for students who would not necessarily have a device to access the learning management system. The Ministry of Education has been working with internet providers to ensure that there is greater reach as it relates to internet connectivity and so on and so forth. The ministry, even in cases where students do not have access to devices and access to data services. The ministry has been making provision for learning kits to be provided for these students. The ministry has been empowering the teachers to, become more au fait with the learner management systems, different learning management systems, and so on and so forth. So there is an explosion of the use of ICT all of a sudden,
Okay.
especially in the education, arena. And the ministry is just doing a number of things, and I am so impressed by the work that the Ministry of Education has been doing in recent times to ensure that even though the students are out of school, we still try to provide them with a good education. So, I mean, of course, I know that there will be some deficits,
Yeah.
but knowing our teachers are resilient enough to, to, you know, bridge the
Back up.
divide
Yeah.
so that the students will be ready when we get back into normal face-to-face school operations.
Speaking of normal face-to-face operations, next week you should actually be trying out some face-to-face instead of virtual learning. Now, what are the measures put in place for that? You can just give me some.
So the Ministry of Education has been working in tandem with the Ministry of Health
Okay.
to ensure that the procedures as dictated by the Disaster Risk Management Act, that those are enforced as much as possible. Ministry has been working with the administrators in the schools to ensure that the systems, the procedures, the processes, the people
Yeah.
are in place, that the schools have money, that the buildings are ready, and everything is just coming together. Just today, I was part of a team that
Yeah.
visited one of those schools that will actually be on the pilot, and we met with the school's administration to look at the various facets of what will be required for the reopening. And I'm telling you, Katie, it is
Okay.
very comprehensive, I can tell you.
I like
So,
that
so
reassurance because I know parents were a bit worried. I read it on social media. So
mhm.
that's good. This is comforting to hear.
Yes, man. Yes, man. The ministry will not, bring the students in a situation that the ministry knows that they're in danger. So the ministry is doing its very best to ensure that when the students actually come to school, they're safe, they're secure, and all things are just working well. Yeah.
You work so hard. What give you peace? What do you do for fun?
Uh, you know, I am a nature lover.
Okay.
So I
Ocean, the beach.
yes, you know what I'm saying. Uh, in recent times, I have gone to know where the Rio Grande is, and I've gone rafting, and it is something that I
Rio
love.
Grande is in Portland, right?
I'm telling you,
I
girl,
went to Case, so
and
naturally I know it.
and I tell you that my daughters love when we go on these various road trips.
Yes.
And I like going to the movies, but the coronavirus has caused the movie theaters to be closed.
Yeah.
But now I realize that there is a drive-in movie theater that has been reopened. I want to go and check that out. It can be a little stressful just being locked away,
Yes.
not having anything to do and anywhere to go. So I have been trying to, as much as possible, um, activate those avenues that are available for me to do so when the opportunity arises.
Okay. I know your father is deceased. Is your stepfather still alive?
He's still alive. My mother is
How,
still
how
alive.
do they feel about your success? Yeah, I know your mother is alive. How do they feel about your success?
Truth is, I know that they're very proud.
Yes,
They have verbalized that,
yes.
and they have said it on so many different occasions that I know that they are very proud.
Okay.
Yes.
I am coming down. I won't be long because I know you're a busy man. You need to get your rest. Uh, Christopher, who are some of the people? Well, you mentioned some of the people that influenced your life. I think you mentioned many teachers. Which school? I know you taught before actually becoming an education officer. What
Yes,
are
I
some of
did.
the schools that you taught at?
I taught at St. Catherine High School,
Okay,
and I also taught at Eltham High School.
okay,
And I have done part-time work as, teacher, lecturer, various different institutions, the MICO, GC Foster, different institutions.
yes,
So yeah, yeah.
okay,
But in terms of persons now who have been instrumental in my development as a teacher, um, uh, the person who jumps out most is one Mrs. Viviana U. Linda Foster.
okay,
Now, every education officer has a principal,
yeah,
and that lady was my principal.
okay,
So, I remember when I just started teaching at Eltham High School, and the first meeting we had with that lady, it was a male teachers meeting.
yes,
So she met with all the male teachers in the school, and she, the lady made it plain. One of the things I remember she said is that, listen, I may be the principal here, but you are the men here.
yeah,
And I strongly believe that men were made to lead.
wow,
So I am giving the men in the school the leverage that they need
yeah,
to lead in the school.
I like
I
that.
have enough big boys in the school. I don't want any more of you to become any big boy.
Yeah,
Be the men that you were designed to be. I cannot forget that, Katie.
yes,
And that, I believe, is something that inspired me to operate in such a way that after 3 years at that school, I was made a senior teacher, and I was made the highest level of senior teacher.
wow,
Senior teacher three. I was head
yeah,
of the math department.
yes,
And my work would have, you know, people started talking about Reynolds, yeah,
yeah,
Reynolds, mathematics, Reynolds, mathematics, Reynolds.
yeah,
And then next thing I know, one day, one of my good friends, Mr. Steve Anderson, who was also a member in the department at Eltham High School, he brought an advertisement to me, and he said, Brethren, I believe that with your skill set and your temperament, this would serve you well.
yes,
And I saw that the Ministry of Education was advertising for mathematics specialists.
yes,
And with the faith that my friend had and the courage that he had now invested in me, I applied, I was successful, I was called to an interview, and I was chosen. I was selected
yeah,
as one of the math specialists for Region 6.
yes,
And within 2 years, Katie, so they were mathematics specialists and they were mathematics coordinators. So the coordinators were the ones who supervised the work of the specialists.
okay,
And I mean, within 2 years working as a math specialist, I was promoted to regional math coordinator.
wow,
And after a while being promoted to regional math coordinator, I was again promoted to education officer. So, even with my work in the Ministry of Education, people would have been seeing
yes,
the value that is being added to the people that I interact with and the ones that I supervise. And so it has just been a journey of growth and development. And there are so many people I have to thank for that. So many people I don't even want to start calling names
yes,
with the fear that I may just get myself in trouble for leaving out somebody. But there are
yes,
a number of people to thank, and I just want them to know that I thank them very much. I cannot end this interview without saying a very big thank you to my mother,
Yes.
who has been a tower of strength, who has been a rock.
Yes.
I'm telling you. So even sometimes when I feel like I can't go on, my mother would assure me that, son, you got this.
Yeah.
And that in itself helped me to know that I just got to go on, Katie.
I like your mother. I need to meet her one day when I visit Jamaica.
Of course, one day I hope you will meet her.
Christopher, for the men out there and the boys out there who think that education is irrelevant right now and it would be best for them to go into scamming than to get an education, what would you tell them? What would be your advice to them?
The truth, it's simple, you know, Katie. The truth is, once you're going to scamming, you're going dead quick.
I'm not laughing, it's serious, guys. So listen.
Once you go into scamming, you're going to die a very quick death. Um, the truth is that if the police don't get you, your very cronies will get you. And if your cronies don't get you, some bad mind grudgeful person going to get you.
Yeah,
So it makes sense for you to go to school and learn your lesson. So at the end of the day, even if you try scamming and it don't work out, you still have your education.
yeah.
But if you try scamming and scamming don't work out and you don't have no education, what are you going to fall back on?
Wow.
Nothing. Nothing.
What a man you are, Christopher Reynolds. Christopher, we are almost at the end. So, are there any final thoughts? Is there anything you want to say? Well, what are your final words?
The truth is, um, for those of us who grew up in Jamaica, who do not come from a rich family, and we don't have our parents and our ancestors don't own a piece of the rock. The truth is that the single most important thing that we will ever acquire that will help us to move up the social ladder is a good, solid education.
Yes,
Why do I say this? Because whatever else we acquire, we can lose that. But when we acquire a good education, we can never, nobody can take that away from us.
yes,
The truth is, you will see a Chris Gale and he will have his very good cricketing skills and his talent, and you will see a Usain Bolt and he will have his very good athletic prowess and all these things. But the truth is, that will only last for a while. There comes a time when Bolt will run no more and Chris Gale will bat no more and all of that. But when you have a solid education, you have that for life. Nobody can take that away from you. No, you just have that for life. And I would want to encourage every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, whoever you are, wherever you are. If you haven't thought about it yet, if you have not done it yet, get yourself a good education. The fact of the matter is that some people think that education is just about getting a degree and getting, yeah, but there are also areas, skilled areas
yes.
that people can enroll and they can learn a skill, and that skill will help them for life. But however you do, get yourself a good education. I also want to say that, Katie, you are doing a very good thing.
Thank you.
Yes, I remember when you were here in Jamaica. I remember when I was supervising the school that you were a teacher. And I remember the very first day that I saw you and I fell in love with you. And I fell in love with you because I saw that you were a very passionate teacher. And
Yes.
I knew that you were going places. And I know that you still have further places to go. And
Thank
I
you.
want to wish you all the very best for what you are doing and what you have done and what you will be doing. And I am expecting to hear some very good things about you and Reading Unlimited. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
guys, you heard that? You heard it from the man himself. He's at the hierarchy of education, and he told you to stay tuned to Reading Unlimited with Cadian. Guys,
Yes.
don't forget my book, okay? It's on Amazon. So remember to purchase my book, The Immigrant Child. Now, guys, you heard it from Christopher Reynolds. I know you have been inspired. I know you've been educated. I know you've been entertained. So now it's up to you to know that with the power of education, you can achieve the unthinkable, the unbelievable. You can reach for the stars. Now, guys, have you been looking in that mirror? Have you been telling yourself how smart you are, how beautiful you are, how wonderful you are, how excellent you are? Please be kind to yourself. But in so doing, be kind to others. And if you have nothing good to say about people, please say absolutely nothing at all. Remember to join me on my live at 7 p.m. on Friday. That's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there I'll get to know you more and I'll have a lot of fun and giveaways. So I'll see you then. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Have yourselves a great day. Bye. Thank you so very much, Mr. Reynolds, for coming on.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you.
Katie. All the best.